Hi, my name is Kim and I'm working at Axveco. And at Axveco, we're working on several blockchain projects and we're using different blockchains for that, permissionless blockchains, but also permissions. And the last couple of months, we did some research on these chains and one of them is Corda. And today I'm together with my colleague Rinke Hendriksen, and he's a certified Corda developer. And we will tell you more about this Corda blockchain. So Rinke, can you please tell us something more about the research you did the last couple of months on Corda?
Well, indeed, last months I spent a lot of time doing research on Corda specifically. Corda technically is not a blockchain. Corda is actually really something different, and I'll tell you later about what exactly is the difference. But Corda, I think, is mostly interesting because for our clients, I believe there's real good use cases to be developed on this platform.
Okay, so it's a different kind of blockchain, but can you tell me the difference between Ethereum, for example, and the Corda blockchain?
Well, Ethereum, as you might know, is like the most famous permissionless blockchain. And as the name says, it is permissionless, which means that everybody can, in principle, take part in forming the consensus of this blockchain. And it's a blockchain, which literally means like there's one state and we're going to update this state and add blocks. Well, that's how we do it in a blockchain. Corda is, well, if I just go to the formal definition, Corda is a permissionless, permissioned distributed ledger. It's permissioned, which means that not everybody can be part of forming the consensus. Not everybody can be part of making transactions. In order to be part of the Corda network, you need to fill in your name of your company, and there's some other requirements as well. But in principle, not everybody can be part. And it's a distributed ledger, which means that a distributed ledger is actually like the umbrella which is above a technology, and blockchain is also a distributed ledger, but it's a sub technology of this distributed ledgers. Mm-hmm. And Corda is a distributed ledger, but it's not the same as a blockchain, so it's part of the same umbrella of technologies.
Okay. What makes Corda so special to create some use cases on compared to other blockchains? Why should somebody choose Corda to create their use case on?
So there's several things. I think the most important things, and I actually have something on my laptop to show you, is how the blockchain is, or how the ledger itself is structured. And let me start with just explaining first how a blockchain, a normal blockchain, will be structured. So here on the picture you see a blockchain, and you see that all different parties, we have 5 here, but in real life there's many more, of course, and all different parties, they're looking at the same state, which is the blockchain. And now if Alice wants to do a transaction, like she literally sends this transaction to the blockchain, which means that all the other participants will be able to hear about it, to know about it. And well, that's how it works. In Corda, the architecture looks actually very different. This is how in Corda the ledger would look like. And what you immediately see is there's not one global state, like there's not one blockchain. We don't have this concept in Corda. Instead, we have a notice of shared facts. And you see here, one, for example, is a fact which is shared by Alice and Bob. Mm-hmm. And Carl, for example, she doesn't know about this one actually existing at all. So it's very important. For example, Alice and Bob, they do transactions together, but Carl doesn't know about it. So this like architecture is much better to preserve the privacy of our clients.
Okay. So privacy is more guaranteed with the Corda blockchain. But how does a transaction look like? Can you show me a transaction on Corda?
Yeah, sure. Transactions, I also have a slide for that. They also look very different in Corda compared to actually all the different blockchains which you know. So again, let me explain first how it works in a normal setting. So in a normal blockchain, let's say the state is that Alice has 2 coins and Bob has 0 coins. And then if Alice wants to do a transaction, she literally tells the blockchain, hey, send 1 coin from my address to the account of Bob, and then she puts an electronic signature on that. And then the network picks it up, is going to check whether that's actually possible. And if it's possible, then the network will update through like the consensus mechanism that Alice now has 1 coin and Bob also has 1 coin.
Yeah.
In Corda, obviously, we start with the same starting state, but then a new status doesn't come around by Alice literally sending this transaction, like, hey, send 1 coin from my account to Bob's, and I sign it. No, what instead Alice just sends to the network, or actually only sends to Bob, this new state, and puts a signature under this new state. So it's a more direct way of proposing what Alice wants to be the new state. But what's interesting about this is that it allows for much more flexibility, and I think this way of doing a transaction is much more to how we would also do it in real life. Like, think about a contract. If I want to update a contract, I'm going to give you a new contract.
Yes.
And then if we sign it, then that will be the latest version. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not going to literally do this transaction on this contract and say that, no, that's not how we do it. So it's much more to how we do it in real life. Therefore also easier to implement in real life use cases, and it allows for more flexibility.
Okay. So more flexibility in the transactions, your privacy is more guaranteed in another way.
Yeah.
Are there more advantages of Corda?
Yeah, I think there's one more advantage, but that mostly refers to how it will scale up in the end. So, for example, there is one Corda network, which is managed by the R3 corporation, the developers of Corda. And basically everybody can be part of this Corda network, and everybody can set up its own Corda business network, which are kind of like small sub-networks. So within one business network, you can manage your own, like who can be part of this network. And you don't have to work together with other business networks, but the important thing is that it's possible. So if we would design a solution and we design it for one client, and the client wants to, well, keep it private, right? But maybe in 5 years they want to talk to some other business network, which might have like a similar use case, or they find out that it's valuable to work together. And in Corda, that's possible. They really thought about interoperability of their like own sub networks, and I think especially with an eye on the future, that will be proved to very interesting. Yeah.
Nice. So it would be easy to connect those platforms
especially
with each other.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Rinke, for your explanation.
Thanks.
It's very clear to me. If you like to know more about Corda, please let us know. If you want more information or think about an implementation, please feel free to contact.